appear to be evidence of interceptions. The footage on your screen now, we've changed the footage, is from Samba. You can hear what appears to be gunfire. I would suggest that is AK fire. It is. That's tracer fire in the air, and you can hear that quite clearly. So we've now got firing taking place in Samba. You've got firing taking place and interceptions possibly in Jaisalmer as well, and the sound of explosions coming in. So what is the sound of explosions? Let's get you more details of that. Let's go back to Shiv Arur at this stage. All right, Shiv, we've got the first deferred visuals of tracer fire in Samba, possible interceptions in Firozpur. We've got reports coming in of loud sounds, explosions in Jammu as well. What else are you hearing at this stage, Shiv?
Vishnu, this would make all of those precautionary air raid sirens make sense at this point of time. That's exactly why they happened. The blackout in Jammu, is now understandable, given that those drones have been... remember that the army has not specified how many drones. They've only said drones have been sighted in Jammu, Pathankot and Samba. What we do know for a fact is that Indian air defences would have presumably been at their highest possible state of alert, given that this is essentially, Vishnu, the third wave of drone strike attempts by Pakistan. The reason I say attempts is because, at least as far as what the Indian government has officially said, not a single one of those drones has managed to hit any target. Debris of those drones has been found, in different sectors and different states of the north and the northwest part of the country. But this could potentially be, whether these are drones with warheads, whether these are armed drones, a different variety from the Turkish Songar drones which were shot down in their hundreds according to the Indian government last night. It is not clear, and we don't want to conjecture about that. Let the Indian Defence Forces do their job. They're fully on alert, completely professional. They had a field day handling hundreds of drones, according to that press conference today, what happened last night as you and I were reporting, Vishnu. So I think these are the initial minutes. Let's wait and see whether, these are, this is a small wave of drones, or is it going to be one as large as yesterday? We'll have to wait and see. There are obviously going to be a flood of videos coming in from these three places, potentially others as well, Vishnu.
There's nothing, no firing as such.
All right, so there is intense firing taking place in some parts of Jammu and Kashmir. This is AK fire, which has been seen over the Samba area. There are explosions as a result of interceptions taking place in Firozpur right now. There is the sound of explosions which are being heard at this stage in Jammu as well. Blackouts in Ambala, in Chandigarh and in Jammu. We've got an update from the Defence Ministry where they say that these drones, which have come in once again tonight, have been engaged. This being the case, this marks what many would consider an escalation. We'll take a break at this stage, come back to the very latest situation, which is developing now across our frontier in parts of Punjab and certainly in the Jammu area. Also, I should mention extensive artillery firing, which is broken out.
Hello everyone, this is The Big Fight and I'm Maria Shakil. On the intervening night of Thursday and Friday, in fact it is continuing even today, the Pakistani military carried out multiple violations of Indian airspace along the western border with the intent to target military infrastructure. Drone intrusions were attempted at 36 locations from Leh to Sar Creek in Gujarat with 300 to 400 drones, many of which were brought down by the Indian Armed Forces. The Indian Armed Forces launched drones at 4 sites in the country and destroyed an air defense radar of Pakistan. This marks the second successful hit on an air defense system in Pakistan in as many days. India continues to maintain that defense forces would respond to Pakistan's misadventures, but the actions taken by New Delhi will be responsible and has been sufficient. Meanwhile, a data collection unit has also been put in place to record every visual of Indian strikes on Pakistani terror hubs. India is documenting evidence of its strikes on terror infrastructure in Pakistan as part of Operation Sindoor, as well as attempts by Islamabad to push terrorists into India like it did on Thursday night, so that Pakistan has no way to obfuscate and hide behind propaganda. India has maintained that Pakistan is the original aggressor, and the current round of hostilities began with the Pahalgam terror attack on 22nd of April. Ceasefire violations and firing along the line of control have started again. On the diplomatic front, just hours ago, Saudi Minister Adil Al-Jubair arrived in Islamabad to meet Shehbaz Sharif. Remember, Jubair arrived in New Delhi unannounced yesterday and met Dr. S. Jaishankar against the backdrop of this heightened tension between the two nations. Where do we go from here, with India having drawn the red line with Operation Sindoor and Prime Minister Modi firmly putting up an unapologetically assertive security doctrine for India? Joining us now is Lieutenant General Atta Hasnain, former GOC of 15 Corps. Lisa Curtis is the Director of Indo-Pacific Security at the Center for New American Security. We have Ashok Malik, partner and chair at the Asia Group. Vice Marshal Manmohan Bahadur is joining us, and Nikunj Garg is Senior Managing Editor of NDTV. But first up, let's listen in to that press conference which was chaired by the Foreign Secretary earlier today.
Pakistan did not close its civil airspace despite it launching a failed unprovoked drone and missile attack on 7th May at 8:30 hours in the evening. Pakistan is using civil airliners as a shield, knowing fully well that its attack on India would elicit a swift air defense response. This is not safe for the unsuspecting civil airliners, including the international flights which were flying near IB between India and Pakistan. During a high air defense alert situation in the Punjab sector, as you have seen, the airspace on the Indian side is absolutely devoid of civil air traffic due to our declared closure. However, there are civil airlines flying the air route between Karachi and Lahore. Indian Air Force demonstrated considerable restraint in its response, thus ensuring safety of international civil carriers. With an intent to target military infrastructure, Pakistan military also resorted to firing of heavy caliber weapons along the line of control. Along the international border and line of control, drone intrusions were attempted from Leh to Sar Creek at 36 locations with approximately 300 to 400 drones. Indian Armed Forces brought down a number of these drones using kinetic and non-kinetic means. The possible purpose of these large-scale aerial intrusions were to test the AD systems and gather intelligence. Forensic examination of the drone debris is being undertaken. Preliminary reports suggest them to be of Aziz Guard Songa drone of Turkey.
The Gurdwara in Poonch in particular was attacked by Pakistan, and some local members of the Sikh community, including a Ragi of the Gurdwara, lost their lives in this incident. Pakistani claims that they did not target or attack any religious place. Instead of owning up to these attacks, Pakistan made the preposterous and outrageous claim that it was the Indian Armed Forces and the Indian Air Force that was targeting cities like Amritsar and trying to put the blame on Pakistan.
All right, let's get Nikunj first on this broadcast. Nikunj, there was a lull during the day, but it appears that Pakistanis are back at doing what they did last night. How should that be read? And how should the presence of the Saudi minister in Islamabad be seen? Are they playing the role of the interlocutors?
Well, Maria, first of all, to answer the first part of your question, quite clearly there is an escalation at this point in time. And it's not about the day or the night. The situation almost always develops at this point in time. It has started. We have to see what is the intensity of this fire that is coming in. If it is a reduced intensity compared to yesterday, then quite clearly we are moving in the direction that many would want it to move towards the de-escalation and disengagement. However, if the intensity increases, then quite clearly all the attempts of negotiations, including the perceived or attempted attempts by the Saudis to find a middle ground here in the entire situation appears to be thwarted by the Pakistani leadership and appears to be not reaching anywhere, at least at this point in time. However, as I said, this is an evolving situation and one will have to wait and watch for the situation to completely come to a conclusion or fruition.